welcome into your sports tonight. I am Bailey Burmaster for this Wednesday edition of Sports Tonight. It seems like it has been a crazy week because there's been so much news happening and it just keeps coming. And we have some actual big news for you guys where the Atlanta Braves are concerned. So tune in because you're certainly going to want to listen in to this breaking news we have for you because it does pertain to the viewers and the fans because watching the Braves just got a whole lot easier. We are bringing back your Atlanta Braves back to broadcast TV in 2025. You'll be able to watch the simulcast of 15 regular season games over the air for free on Peachtree TV and the Peachtree Sports Network. We'll also broadcast 10 exclusive spring training games. Those will be big because we'll be able to give you stories on, guys like Ronald Acuna Jr. and Spencer Strider as they work back in their rehab process. We can also discuss the new faces on the roster and maybe some pipeline guys. You're definitely going to want to tune in to hear, who those names are. This is a multi-year deal between our parent company, Gray Media, the Braves, and FanDuel Sports Network. The deal brings Braves baseball to 24 Gray television stations across 6 states. That's more than 15 million households. You can download the free Atlanta News First app and make sure you don't miss an update as we get all the new details on the schedule and what those games are. But more importantly, you also want to hear into what Hilton Howell, who is the chairman and CEO of Gray Media, told me. We were able to speak because he's very passionate about this deal, but more importantly, he is also a Braves fan. So let's go and hear that announcement. What does it mean to enter a multi-year deal with the Atlanta Braves?
Oh, Bailey, it's a game changer. It is impossible for me to over-exaggerate the excitement that I have personally, and I think that our viewers are going to have the Braves, America's team, returning to broadcast television, free television.
When you look at this deal, why the Braves? What is it about this organization that sticks out to you?
They are just one of the greatest sports teams, and they were the first great professional sports team to really take what we all call Braves Nation by storm. I moved to Atlanta in '91, and they kind of had a big season that year. And I've watched them ever since, and it's just fantastic because you can show up in Seattle and you'll see folks with a Braves hat on, and they're not from Atlanta or Georgia or the South. They're from all over the country. And so the Braves have fans everywhere.
With this partnership, what can you say about the accessibility for fans? Because Gray Television has a lot of TV markets, which is a lot of eyeballs.
Well, for the first time in history, because of consolidation, we're going to be bringing the Braves to free broadcast television in 24 markets across Braves Nation for free. And that's really exciting. And another piece of this that I like is that we get 10 games that are in the preseason. And so, you're going to have an opportunity to talk to the, in a more free-form sort of format, and where you can bring the excitement of the players and the roster and what they're going to do in 2025.
You talked a lot about the coverage just there. Obviously, the regular season games are big, but there's also 10 spring training games.
Yes.
How crucial was that in this partnership?
Well, I think it's absolutely wonderful because a lot of that didn't make it onto television in the past, and I think that it's going to be something a lot of people are really going to want to watch. And I'm excited about all the different sort of creative ways that you guys are working on to bring it and to make it accessible, because that's the key for sports in my personal judgment. And as a company, Gray has been really fortunate. We've got a wonderful footprint, and we have started really, the first big sports franchise was the Suns in Arizona, and we've kind of come to the East Coast. We went through and did a lot of basketball teams, and we've got the Pelicans going out throughout the Gulf Coast states, and now we get the Braves, our first baseball team, and it's in our hometown. You have no idea. I can barely stand here. I'm so excited.
For the first time since 2013, the Braves will return to Peachtree TV. People remember it as Ted Turner's legendary Channel 17. What does it mean to get back to the roots a little bit?
Oh, I think it's huge. I'm an old history guy, and I love, the story and the roots and how it all began. And it was Ted Turner taking this thing on cable nationwide and WTBS, the superstation. And then when TBS and Then Peachtree was created, and they're split apart. And they were on Peachtree TV, and we're thrilled to have them back. I mean, just beyond thrilled.
Simply put, what do you want to say to fans? Because this is something that's a benefit to them.
Well, buckle up. You can get it anyway, and enjoy your Braves, because we're proud to bring them to you. And like everything we do in Gray, and certainly here at Atlanta News First, we try to give the viewers what they need and want. And who can't want to see the Braves? I'm just rooting for the team. I hope they have the best season. I hope we make it to the World Series.
So much easier to watch your Braves now, and we are so excited to be able to bring you that on Peachtree TV and Peachtree Sports Network. Some other big talking points. It came down last night that the Atlanta Falcons have decided to bench Kirk Cousins, and they are going towards Michael Penix Jr. as they enter these last couple games. They have the Giants on Sunday at home, then they head to Washington to face the Commanders, and then they still have the Panthers, so there's still a lot to be played for. And the division is still there, but Bucs still lead. It's a very interesting time. Head coach Raheem Morris calling it just a football decision. You know, the quarterback play hadn't been that good. Lots of sound to get to today. Head coach Raheem Morris talked in depth about the decision. You heard offensive coordinator Zach Robinson talk today, who basically said it made him feel sick. He's close with Kirk Cousins. His kids are close with his kids. His wife is close with his wife. So it makes you feel a little sick. And then, Michael Penix is believe still talking right now as we are on air. And I did see that apparently he found out he was going to be the starting quarterback while he was shopping at Costco. So he truly is just like us. But before we get to reaction from Flowery Branch today, let's hear what Good Morning Football and their crew had to say about the Falcons turning away from Kirk Cousins and dialing in to Michael Penix Jr.
It might be too little too late. It's definitely time. Like, that goose is cooked. 2 weeks ago, I reported on Fox NFL Kickoff. 2 weeks ago, with shock that despite not throwing a touchdown in 3 weeks or having all these interceptions, that Kirk Cousins still was getting number one reps and Michael Penix wasn't being used. That was 2 weeks ago. And off the Achilles, not everyone's a miracle man and can get back and be 100%. So what do we do now? Well, we could still salvage the season. There's 3 games left. You put Michael Penix in. He hasn't had first-team reps all year. He hasn't seen the field very often, only in blowouts. So he hasn't even gotten in on spot duty. You're putting a lot of pressure on him to go and save the day, especially because they're behind Tampa in the standings. The long and short of it is Kirk Cousins' time with Atlanta is likely done. If he gets injured now, they're on the hook for an extra, $1 million. They don't want to see him on the field because of all the guarantees, and you can't get him because of the injury stuff. He likely will not be on the Falcons after March because of what the salary cap insinuates. He could be traded, but he's got a no-trade clause, so it'd have to go to a place he wants to go to. Can't imagine a great team is looking to trade for Kirk Cousins at the moment, which puts you in this thing where you're probably going to get cut, which means that the Falcons will have paid $90 million to Kirk Cousins for 14 weeks of NFL action. And 14 weeks that does not even have them in the playoff position right now. One of the strangest situations we've seen with a veteran quarterback. But they're pulling the plug, and financially committed as they are, they might have been too financially committed, because I think the last 2 weeks, everyone watching at home and everyone around the league knew that goose was cooked. It was probably time to go to Penix then before the season's almost lost.
Was what they're going to make, not make, would have with Cousins, will with Penix. I'm excited to see Penix. I think everybody is, and we'll talk a lot of Penix moving forward. I want to talk some Cousins first, because I think it's easy to say, oh, they should have moved, they should have pulled him out after 2 losses, do it during the bye week. You have to remember how much equity Cousins has, not with the Falcons, in the league. This is a veteran who's put up a lot of statistical production, and never mind in the past. It was all cooking, and then something completely fell apart. I don't know what happened. I have suspicions about his health, whether it be the Achilles, whether it be hits that he took, because after that apex of Week 9, 6-3 team, they're going to cruise to the NFC South title. Tampa has nothing going on. It was a month of losing, including some of, if not the worst football Kirk Cousins has ever played in his career. Let's not pretend that we don't know how this guy plays, what he's into, what he puts up statistically. We got a decade of Kirk Cousins. Something either really, really hindered him physically, where he couldn't move or wasn't mobile at all anymore. Something psychological happened. This kind of quarterback doesn't just completely fall off the table. He did. It's the right move. I can't sit here and say, how do you not bench Kirk Cousins after 2 weeks and bad losses? because he's Kirk Cousins. You know what you're getting. He's going to pull out of it. You pay him $90 million. I can't scream at the Falcons to put in a rookie when Cousins. This is a guy we knew. And it is a great mystery, and I think we need a little more clarity moving forward of how the hell he went from so good to absolutely terrible.
So we have talked in depth a lot about where we feel. Should they stick with Kirk Cousins? Should they go to Michael Penix? It doesn't matter anymore. They are moving on, and they are going to the Michael Penix Jr. Future, so to speak. However, before we look at the future, let's hear from Kirk Cousins from the organization's decision and how he felt when he found out.
There's a standard that I have for myself, that the team has for me, that unfortunately I wasn't playing up to that standard consistently enough. And so, it is what it is, and you roll with it. And now, you still get ready, one play away kind of a thing, and support Mike, and just try to help our team, be able to find a way to win these last three to get in the playoffs, and that's what it's all about. So, that's my focus, and take any questions you have.
Kurt, Coach said that the turnovers were an issue at the end of the day. He said you can't have those in the NFL. Can you look back and see at that, and how did you digest that part of it, and how can you try to fix that if you do get another opportunity as a number two?
Yeah, no, I would agree with him. It probably ultimately was the turnovers, and that's such a key thing in winning and losing in the NFL.
And then, so, long time we see, a lot of football, but stuff looks different. We start asking, well, hey, maybe something's not right health-wise. How was your health? Was that a factor? It looked like the zip might have not been on the balls lately.
No, I think, going back to the turnovers, I think, that's more probably decision-making than anything. And, that wouldn't have anything to do with any physical limitations, so I wouldn't say so.
And mobility, the Achilles was not?
No, I think when you look at it, there was a lot of production. We were 6-3, 9 games in, and had done a lot of good things, and so I don't think there were any real limitations from that standpoint.
To follow up on that, what you said about decision-making, did that impact your confidence? Did you feel like you were confident in your decision-making process on the field these last few weeks?
Well, the results weren't good enough, but I think that from a confidence standpoint, I don't think that was changing. If anything, maybe you need less confidence to not try to force the ball into tighter windows. So I don't think it's confidence as much as just got to make great decisions. You got to make great decisions all the time, and if you don't, you pay for it.
Were you surprised? Did you think that there would be a change at this point in the season?
I don't think, in my years in the league, I've never really had expectations or been surprised. I think that the league, anything can happen.
When did that conversation with Raheem happen?
Just yesterday.
Last night?
Yep, evening, yep.
And what was that conversation like?
Yeah, it was just, simple and straightforward, and, didn't last long.
He said that you guys don't usually talk on the phone, in that time period. Did you kind of know that call might be coming?
When he called, I was aware that it might be, to talk about what the plan is this week. But again, I don't really go in with expectations ever. In this league, so many things can happen or change that you kind of just try to keep an open mind.
Do you think about what this means for your future with the Falcons?
Yeah, I think, again, you're kind of one day at a time right now, and you kind of always are in this league. And then, in the offseason, that's when conversations happen, but we're not there yet.
Anything else?
Have you had a chance to talk to the team at all, or the quarterback room, or anything like that since the change was made?
Well, we've had meetings. Talked to Mike last night and just let him know I'd be in his corner and supporting him and trying to help him any way I can. And, the quarterback room, just, when I'm playing, it's a working force, to help us all, and it's the same now. That doesn't change. So, that sometimes you're just stating the obvious, but still stated it.
You hold yourself to such a high standard, so how are you personally taking this?
It's disappointing. But it's pro football, and there's no entitlement, and so you got to go out and earn it every single day, and I think I've said that really since I got here. You got to go out and earn it every single day, and if you don't, then there's always going to be, you're always going to be competing, and changes can happen.
Did you call Mike last night?
Yeah.
How quickly after you learned did you call Mike?
I don't know. I think I got in the car, drove home, and called him.
What was his reaction? What was the conversation like on his end?
No, yeah, he was great, and he's ready to get to work and play well.
How do you support him now? And you said that was your plan. How do you go about doing that? It's been a while since you've been in that role.
Well, we're kind of always working together, so the room doesn't change a whole lot as far as asking questions and taking notes and bringing up thoughts if you have any, and so early in the week, so you kind of go through the process now with first and second down, then third down, then red zone, and more stuff. You tie up loose ends Saturday, and so I think all that happens much together, and so that doesn't really change much.
Not to be redundant about this part of it, but why was it important for you to call Mike last night?
I like to shoot elephants in the room, so I just wanted to shoot one.
Kirk, does the last few weeks, does it affect your confidence, your views for your own career in the future? Do you feel like you hope to still be a starter in the future in the NFL?
I didn't forget how to play quarterback. Certainly the turnovers were not what you want, but I didn't forget how to play.
You mentioned the decision-making. Like, as a veteran who's obviously logged so many snaps and games, do you look at it and are almost kind of like, how did I make that decision? Or do you kind of look at it and say, like, oh, I get why I did this, it just execution or whatever wasn't working, or how, like, what has that part been like to watch yourself on tape and analyze yourself that way?
Each one is different. Each one is different, and there isn't any, pattern that shows up in every one. So some are too aggressive, some, you understand what happened, and ultimately, though, you just got to play football.
You said a couple of weeks ago, and you're kind of walking through your career, and that there was always moments of get knocked down, you bounce back. I'm curious, as you look at this situation, how you feel it's either the same or different from what you've experienced in the past.
Certainly knocked down, and the story's still being written, and so you just kind of keep going one day at a time, and someday we'll look back and have a little bit better ability to tell the story.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So obviously, you wanted things to probably go differently, especially when you're paying a guy $100 million guaranteed. But this is also the reason they drafted Penix. I've kind of harped on it a bit on Sports Tonight. People were really critical of the Penix pick. This is exactly why they went to go get him, so there was a safety blanket in case they needed it. And guess what? Here they are looking for it once again. Raheem Morris, he said it would be a story if he said this wasn't hard, and he didn't think that at one point they didn't think this was going to happen, and now here they are. So let's hear what Raheem Morris had to say about moving on from Kirk Cousins, but more importantly, if he thinks Penix is ready.
Yeah, Coach. Trying to get to the camera here. I got a few questions. The decision to go with Michael Penix at quarterback. How did you and your staff arrive at that yesterday evening?
The same way we do with all our decisions. Obviously you go in, you evaluate, you talk, you look at the tape, you go through all the process, you go through your next preparation and your daily things that you got to do. Obviously, we got to play better at the position. We want to play better position, and that's what we made the decision to do that last night.
And what was Kirk's reaction and his long-term status with the franchise?
Obviously, anytime you take a step down in demotion or whatever the case may be, it's not going to be met with great, appreciation and all those things. But Kirk was a professional. He's a pro. He's a man. He's a great human. He's a great father. He's a great football player. He's done a lot of great things for us this year. He handled it with class. He's an absolute professional. I can't say enough good things about who the man is and how he is and what it is. But, obviously, there comes with some disappointment when you lose your job.
And what are y'all hopeful for Michael and, making his first start in the NFL? And then what does that do to your right tackle is now the left tackle position?
A little bit older format, not necessarily got to use that as much anymore. A lot more gun, a lot more pistol, a lot more things of that nature. It was more prevalent back in the day when you had up under quarterback, when you're doing some of the drop back things from that nature. But all our things remain the same. That just has Michael playing the left-handed quarterback. And what was the other question there, like you said?
What are y'all expecting from him? Is he run the whole scheme?
Obviously, just the best version of himself. He's been doing a great job in his preparation and what he's been doing, how he's been getting to the spot. We're really fired up to go watch him play, get him through the practice week, and obviously, focus on trying to get a win versus the Giants.
When did you have that conversation with Kirk?
Last night sometime. Coming about last night, talked with him, had our conversation, got a chance to sit down. He came in, got through the process, and that was about it.
Did you get the feeling that he sensed that talk might be coming?
I can't speak for Kurt, whether you can feel the sense that it's coming or not, but, I normally don't call him on a day after the game at night, so I'm sure there's some human intuition that thinks like that, that some things could happen. And then obviously we've both been doing this for such a long time. We've seen it from both sides of the coin, so we kind of know.
Are there any injury concerns with him at all, Kirk?
No, it was just a football decision.
When it comes to kind of Michael's prep, and you're on a short week, and you're coming off of a win, yes, but getting him up to speed with what needs to happen. What have y'all been doing prior to this moment? I think a lot of people can be like, oh, well, now he's moving into having more of these conversations, but what has been happening previously in order to feel like you can make this decision right now with him?
Yeah, Michael's been the number 2, one snap away all year, and he's been in the preparation in the lab, ready to go. He's been grinding away, learning from Kurt, being around his coaches, being ready to go, knowing that every play could be the last snap for anybody. So, he's been doing all the normal preparation that you have to do in order to start a game. So he's ready to go. As far as that's a mental standpoint, now he's got to go out there and do it physically within the practice format and how we want to do it.
When you speak of this being a football decision, there's obviously, when people talk about this decision, business comes into play real high in the reporting.
Sure.
How did that come into the talks that you had? Is there something you had to speak with the owner about to make sure that was good for everybody?
We discuss it with everybody, and obviously our owner's always going to be involved in what we do in more of a supportive role more than anything, and he is extremely supportive and has been, since I've been here, even as an assistant. He's been supportive with everything we've done, from the draft, from free agency, from decision-making, from things that we need, things that we want, the building, everything that we do. So he's always going to be involved in all those type of things. And then obviously it definitely has some financial implications for us and how you go about your process, and definitely one of those deals. But we're always going to make football decisions in order to win the football game, and that's always going to be first and foremost.
Who does have the final decision, Raheem, when it comes to deciding who gets to play?
Allison, when you start talking like that, you might as well just walk out of the building and hand over your head coach's hat and your general manager's hat, because these things got to be made together. There's collaborative ideas, a collaborative effort at all times, and that really doesn't matter in this building.
Coach,
hey, Jared.
couple things. Why did you make the decision now? You just won a game.
Yes.
Why not last week, the week before?
We had been searching. We've been digging as much as we can dig in order to make things work and try to get things going. And then, just last night came to the point that she wanted to make the decision and make the move. We wanted to play better at quarterback, and we felt like we got a chance to play a little bit better. And if we can go out there and play better at quarterback, who knows what can happen, We played a really well sought out football game when you talk about all phases of our game last week, and we didn't play well at the quarterback position, and want to go find out if we can do a better job there.
Is there any chance that you will go back on this in terms of permanent versus temporary, depending on how things go with Michael?
Yeah, I don't think anything's ever permanent in the National Football League, but, right now Michael Penix is our quarterback, and we're going to back him and give him the utmost support he needs, as we did Kurt when he was our starter.
And is there a message to the other players in the locker room with this?
I don't know if it's a message. I think it's just what we deal with. I think it's the National Football League. I think everybody knows you got to be ready when you're called upon. I think everybody knows that you always, the NFL is a short-lived league, and you got to appreciate the moments. And I think everybody already knew that. I think for our guys, I think they're just going to go out there and play with like they've been playing, the hair on fire and ready to go.
What will Kirk's role be this week?
Kurt to be our number 2. And talked with him last night, and obviously wasn't always the best time to talk about it, but he definitely expressed to me how he's going to be the best number 2 quarterback in the National Football League.
Do you have a plan or an expectation yet of what the future holds beyond this year? Do you expect Kirk to be on this team next year?
You know, we're just trying to get a win versus the Giants. You know, that's a big part for us right now, and that's a big part for everybody right now. I think we're all focused on that. I think both of these guys want to win. I think our whole team wants to win. I think our organization wants to win. And I think that is our focus right now. Obviously, you got to have those long-term decisions and those long-term answers that's got to be made, but that's not right now.
I would imagine you try hard not to be surprised about anything that comes along, but are you surprised to be in this situation after the excitement you had 9 months ago and the way that Kirk was playing?
You know, we were playing extremely well. So I'd be telling you a story if I didn't tell you I wasn't surprised right now how the last couple of weeks have gone and how we haven't been able to turn around and play a little bit better at the position in order to keep things going how we had and to keep with the general plan. But, you know, hey, the National Football League, things hit you. You got to adapt, you got to adjust, you got to persist, you got to deal, and keep it moving, and that's just what we're doing.
With the follow-up on what Jared was asking, would it be accurate to say that, like, as Kirk was struggling, you were hoping, expecting that he would bounce back?
Yeah, every single week, you know, like, I know you guys can hear it. I had a lot of confidence that we would play better. I had a lot of confidence that we would do better at the position. I had a lot of confidence that he would get back to his form, and we just didn't, you know, for whatever reasons, and we have to figure those things out. We'll have a deep dive into those situations, obviously, when it's all said and done. But right now, really focus on winning versus the Giants.
To follow, like, about this deep dive, like, at this point, I think everyone's kind of baffled. And would it, I don't know if that's the word you would use, but it seems like you don't have a finger on what's happened in the last few weeks with his play.
No.
Coach, what did you all see to let you all believe that he's ready to make his start in the National Football League?
You know, Mike's been doing everything we've asked him to do since he's been here. You know, for us, it was just a plan with Mike that he didn't have to play right now because we had our quarterback rolling in the right direction, our team rolling in the right direction. We were doing a lot of really good things. We had a lot of really good stats, a lot of really things that you guys all love. And then right now, it's time to make a change, and that's what we're doing.
What were the biggest things that stood out to you just recently from, like, Kirk Cousins' recent play that you felt like we needed to make this change?
The turnovers. You know, you can't turn the ball over in the National Football League and expect to win. And we got to stop those things. And that was a big part of it. You know, some other things in there too, Allison, but, you know, obviously the turnovers were the big one, the big factors.
Is there any such thing, or have you experienced it? I know in, like, baseball there's the yips. Is there something like that in football, or have you seen anything?
Can't say I've seen it, but I'm sure it exists. You know, it exists in all of the things that we have, and it exists in all sports and exists in everything that we got going on, you know, and it's one of those things you got to be ready to deal with.
Have you changed Michael's routine at all in the last month, thinking that you might end up here in terms of the amount of snaps he gets at meeting time, anything like that?
I think his meeting time has been the same throughout the course of the matter. It's been the same amount as Kurt. They meet the same time. They meet the same way. They meet all the time together. They do a couple things that are separate, you know, so some of those things will change for him within the next couple of weeks or within the time frame of this week. But other than that, man, I think the young man has been preparing to go the entire year. You know, like I said, you know, when you're the number 2 quarterback and you go out there in the field every single week on Sunday, you better be prepared to go because you just never know you're going to be called upon. And he's prepared that way all year.
Aside from the way that he's prepared up
Yes.
until this point, what else have you noticed about Michael as he's sitting there and learning from Kirk?
Just the confidence grow, you know, the maturity, the confidence, his ability to be able to step up and ask questions that are relevant to the game plan or relevant to us getting better or being helpful for Kurt or whoever else is in that room, whether it be a wideout, whatever the case may be. The confidence to be able to articulate the game plan on the sideline with his guys that are not.
So we will see how Penix fares. He's going up against a not very good Giants team who has had some quarterback issues of their own. So it won't be too tall of a task. It's just, can he win out and maybe, you know, keep the Falcons in the hunt here down the stretch? Something else that's worth talking about football related, state championships wrapping up tonight, the big one everyone has been anticipating, the Carrollton Trojans taking on the Grayson Rams. That game is set to get started tonight, and we will have those highlights at 11 on Atlanta News First. That does it for your Wednesday edition of Sports Tonight. I'm Bailey Burmaster. Thanks for joining us, and make sure to join us throughout the week for your sports headlines. Have a good night.